A lot of producers are scared to jump into the music business because on the one hand, a lot of people are telling them there's absolutely no money in the music business and therefore they should just stick to their day jobs. On the other hand, however, there's this narrative that the music business is just a get rich quick scheme. And so all the producers who are successful in the music business are just money hungry, greedy, and corrupted. So a producer who's trying to start right now in 2025 is probably hearing both of these conflicting opinions and wondering what the hell is actually the truth. And I found a clip of Metro Boomin speaking on following his passions and how he would be making beats even if there were no money involved. I think that's the case for the vast majority of us, probably 100% of producers who are actually being producers for a living, for a full-time career. They would probably tell you that even if they weren't making a single dollar from music, they would still be making beats in some capacity. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with making beats as a hobby. I think there are drawbacks to intentionally keeping beat making as a hobby rather than a career. I think there are also some drawbacks to making music full-time as a living. And I wanted to talk about it on the podcast and get Damon Aaron's insight, so I did. The link to the full podcast is below. We talk about a lot of different topics, and I don't have to tell you to do this, but I'm encouraging you, leave a comment to discuss your position currently in your journey to becoming either a professional music producer or a passionate hobbyist. Thank you. The people that walk into the music business saying, oh, it's just a get rich quick scheme. You see that all the time from people who don't know shit. Music business is just a get rich quick scheme, making beats.
Who's
especially
getting rich quick? I need to know. Show
nobody.
me.
No, it's just people on the outside looking in because they see, for example, someone like Metro Boomin. He's, obscenely rich at this point, tens of millions of dollars. Those deals are public, but that's what people see. They don't see pre-$1 million Metro. Of course not, because why would they? You don't see people. It's not interesting to see people struggle when they're obscure. That's the point of, that's what obscurity means.
Find it out. I don't have no ulterior motives when it comes to making music. Like, not for no money, not for no accolades, not for no girls, no cars, no jewelry, like none of that shit, bro. Like, I've always just purely loved making music. So in the time of me purely loving to make music, it's never been no pressure on, oh man, I ain't on yet. Like, I don't care, bro. I could see, God forbid, but like, what if I never had ended up? That would have been fine with me because it's just something I purely love to do. Like, a nigga who love to draw or paint, like, those are pure artists. Like, they're not tripping off that. They just, it brings them peace and joy to do what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And just excitement. So, like, that's always what it's been. So I feel like me just being so pure with it, that's why things happen the way they do, because it's like, it's no other ulterior motives or intentions with it.
And he used the P word twice. That's the word that Timberland used to describe AI music, but Metro Boomin is a human. So I feel like the purity factor here is something that I kind of picked up on, because there is, and and I'm not saying I disagree with what he's saying. I do. I think there's just some nuance that I want to dig into, because there is this narrative that people who aren't making money off of music are pure, and the people who are making money off their music are corrupted. And I'm not saying that's what Metro's saying. It's not at all. And I believe everything he's saying because, and you were there, Aaron. I mean, in Atlanta, when Metro had his initial run, I don't think he was a millionaire then, but he was on everything. And I was just like, this man, how is he? Everything is a Metro beat. Everything is, there's no way he's not going to succeed. But he was just making music like it was oxygen for him. He just was making beats. I feel like Mike Will was kind of on a similar run, but it felt like Metro just had way more than anybody.
Turbo is on a run like that right now too.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the obsession that comes in, and people are just like, I think all of us would do what we do to an extent. Like, I would have a beat making setup. I know so many producers that make beats, they don't even sell them. It's just something that they enjoy doing, and that's fine, because that's what they want to do. But I think it's just a more complicated dynamic. I don't think if anyone's trying to get into the music business to make money, you're not going to make money. I think you've even it's already hard to make money in the music business with the right mentality. When you got the wrong mentality, that's even more of a handicap. But for example, like for me, I never thought I could make beats for a living when I was first making beats. So I didn't try. I never focused on making money. The other part of this, which is the ugly side, is that I vilified the people who did. Because I'm like, oh, all these guys are making money off of beats. What a bunch of sellouts. Oh, they don't want to help me out. I'm a nobody. I've never done shit that means anything to everybody. They should be helping me. They should be giving me handouts and opportunities. But they're corrupted by money. So I feel like there are benefits and drawbacks to being in this pure moneyless state. And then there are, benefits to being in the money making mode. So I'm curious. I have a couple. I'm curious to hear yours. I would say the benefits of just starting out and not making money. One would be experimentation, because you don't feel pressured to make something that's going to make money. Two, it's maybe potentially more fun, but this could change. I think it's fun to make money doing what you love. That feels really gratifying and validating. Three, I think when you're not making any money, you're more willing to collaborate with others, because there's no, like now people contact me all the time, hundreds of people saying, I want to collaborate. And it's like, but you only want to collaborate because you think I'm making money, right? So I have this paranoia where it's like, well, you're not making money. You think that you're going to collaborate with me and make money. And that's the wrong reason to collaborate with someone. And it's not realistic. I can't collaborate with that many people. So it's just not going to happen. But if you're not making money, you might only have 5 people around you that just want to hang out and get high and make beats together. And that's what you do. I think number 4, you have fewer expectations and therefore fewer disappointments. Last week, we covered Brick talking about how depressing the music business was, because he's already in the music business at a high level of success. If he had never gone 8 times platinum off of I Spy, he probably wouldn't, like once you see the top of the mountain, you always you expect that view. But when you're back to the bottom, you're like, damn, I was at the top a second ago. So fewer disappointments. And then lastly, of course, your art's not corrupted, whatever that means. People love to throw that word around. I don't know what it means. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, this is the first time I think I've heard Metro talk. I rock with Metro. I really have never heard him talk before. I don't know if he's always, been articulated himself like this.
Same person.
But yeah, definitely impressed with, just the way he, just what he was saying and kind of how he was articulating it. So I think it's dope. I was actually just had lunch with a young producer, and he got a couple of big placements last year on Big Sean's records. But he also is a senior manager at like a cybersecurity firm. And he's just in a real comfortable place because there's no pressure. I think ultimately, yeah, he would love to do music, music full time. But I feel like you have to really understand the business, obviously put forth the effort, be strategic, build the right relationships. But we talked a lot of times, like all you guys should have a job for the most part, because ultimately you got to pay your bills. But, it's great to be in a position where you can just create, naturally with no, expectation to fit a certain formula or to step outside of, what you want to create. So I like that clip a lot for sure.
Yeah, because there are the people that just love making music and they also love their careers. And it sounds like the producer you just had lunch with loves their careers. I know other producers who have. Oh, he doesn't?
He doesn't.
Okay, well then he might be a Bubba Got Beats kind of situation, because I interviewed Bubba Got Beats, who's the guy behind the 10 Toes Challenge. Everyone did it. Rod Wave did it before he was famous. Everyone did the 10 Toes Challenge. And he, when I talked to him, was still working and in the same field, IT. He was some kind of higher level IT guy. And I asked him, would you ever quit your IT job and go music full time? Because you're already making a good living off of music. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. Well, a year later, he quit his job and is doing music full time. So things change. And I think money can help that. And so I don't look at that as corruption. I look at it as freedom. So but I'm in a space where all my bills are being paid by music. And a lot of people can't relate to that, which is strange because it's like there's this logical hump between making money at your job and then making money off of doing what you love. And people don't understand that they're the same thing. There are some differences, but ultimately they're the same thing. So I would say the drawbacks to being in a position where you're making music entirely as your income is one. Sorry, not making money off of your music. The drawbacks are, one, you don't have a schedule for yourself because you don't need one. Most people who just make music for fun don't regiment their music making because they prioritize what's making them money, which is another conversation. Number two, lack of consistency. Again, because you're prioritizing other parts of your life. If you have a job that's paying all your bills and you're comfortable, you're like, oh, let me start a family. Let me drink on the weekends. Let me do all these other things that are taking me away from music. And so it kind of dilutes the obsession of the music making. I've seen that a million times. Three, potential lack of social grace. Because a lot of people, if you don't feel like there are consequences in your future for your actions, you may be more willing to burn bridges. If you're not making money in the music business, I can cuss anyone I want out. I can make, a lot of producers in the community who don't feel like they're being embraced by the community will just try to burn it down. And then eventually they might want to live in that community. And they're like, no, we don't want you here because you just made all these nasty videos and called too many people out for no reason. Number four, never releasing music. Why release music if there's no financial benefit to it? I just want to make it. And, some people, that's fine. But I think most artists want their art out. That's why we make it. Lastly, I'd say eventual resentment towards the people who turned it into a living. A lot of folks resent the people that did what they felt they couldn't. And then you hear, I know in the producer world, I hear producers say all the time, I only make beats for fun. I do this for myself. I don't care who likes it. Anyone who's making music for money is corrupted. They're just making trash because they think other people are going to like it. I'm just making it because I don't care. Then I'm like, well, why are you commenting if you don't care? Why do you have a YouTube channel if you don't care? Why do you have a beat store if you don't care? Why do you have a Spotify if you don't care? I believe one of the hardest things as a musician is being honest with oneself and admitting when you're scared. And being scared of success, to me, being scared of failure and being scared of success are the same thing. Because if you're afraid to fail, then you won't succeed because the road to success is paved by your failures. So I think ultimately music and art is for everybody. Depending on what you want to do with it, just be honest with yourself and figure out if that's truly what you want to do. I don't want people to scare themselves into not pursuing something that they love as a career. There are strategic ways of doing it that works for people. Sometimes people just jump out the window and say, I'm quitting all my jobs and doing this full time. Sometimes that works for them too, having their backs against the wall. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going to work for you. I just don't want people limiting themselves because either they expect to make a bunch of money, which isn't realistic, or they expect to never make money, which is self-defeating.
Now, so on the business side, however, there are definitely people that come in here just for making money, and there are some people that are successful. So I don't think all these arguments hold true for people.
I need the blueprint. How does that work?
What do you
just
mean?
Be greedy as shit and finesse. That's what it is.
No, I mean, all of the finance companies that we're talking about that are jumping into the space, they're just they're just in for the. There's managers, there's managers. I would say most managers are in it for the money. No,
what?